You know that feeling when you wake up from a dream and it just feels real? Well, what if it was? Today, we're diving into a really provocative idea, that our dreams have nothing to do with the past. Instead, one author claims they're actually a peek into a future we haven't even lived yet.
I mean, we all dream, right? Sometimes they're just weird, other times they're scary, sometimes they're just boring. But what are they really? Is it just, our brain cleaning out the files for the day? Or could there be something deeper going on? Let's get into it.
So the source material we're looking at today throws a huge curveball. It basically says, forget everything you think you know. The whole point of a dream, according to this view, isn't to look back. It's to look forward. It's a rehearsal, or maybe even a warning for things that are about to happen.
Now, to back up a claim this big, you'd think they'd bring out some brain scans or scientific studies, right? Nope. Instead, the author goes straight to the history books, pulling out some pretty wild stories as evidence that dreams can actually, foretell reality.
And the first story is a big one. It's about Abraham Lincoln. So the story goes, he had this dream where he's wandering through the White House, and it's super quiet except for this sound of people crying. He follows the sound and finds himself in a room with a coffin and soldiers standing guard. He asks one of the soldiers, who died? And the soldier just looks at him and says, the president. He was assassinated. So the way the author lays this out is pretty chilling. It's like step 1, Lincoln has the dream. Step 2, he actually tells his wife and a few other people about it. And then step 3, a few days later, the dream comes true in the most terrible way possible.
Okay, if that story gave you chills, get ready for this next one. It's about a British merchant, and it happens right before the Titanic is set to sail. He starts having this horrible recurring dream. He sees the unsinkable ship going down. Total chaos.
And here's the kicker. According to the author, this wasn't just some one-off bad dream. It happened again and again. It felt like a warning, so he listened to it. He canceled his trip, and just a few days later, his nightmare becomes history. For the author, this is case closed. The dream literally saved his life.
So this idea that dreams are basically crystal balls, well, it goes head-to-head with one of the biggest names in psychology, Sigmund Freud. And this is where the two ideas just completely clash. On one hand, you've got Freud, who famously said dreams are all about our past, things we've forgotten or pushed down. But on the other hand, the author we're talking about says, nope, wrong. Dreams aren't about the past at all. They are all about the future.
Okay, but it doesn't stop there. As if predicting the future wasn't enough, the author takes this whole idea and pushes it even further, way further. The next claim is that dreams aren't just like watching a movie in your head. They're a place you actually go.
Yeah, you heard that right. The idea here is that when you're dreaming, your body is in bed, sure, but your spirit, your actual consciousness, it's left the building. It's traveled to another time and place, another dimension that's supposedly just as real as this one. Now, to try and explain an idea that sounds, let's be honest, pretty out there, the author tells this really bizarre story. It's about a guy named Wilmot who's on a ship in the middle of the ocean. His wife is way back home an ocean away, and there's a witness, his roommate on the ship. So it starts out pretty normal. Wilmot's on his trip, he's missing his wife, and he has this really vivid dream. In the dream, she shows up in his cabin wearing her nightgown, and she leans over and kisses him. Sweet, right? Seems like a pretty standard dream.
But then, things get weird. The next morning, his cabin mate pulls him aside and says, hey, who was that woman in our room last night? He says he saw her, the woman from Wilmot's dream. Now wait a minute, how is that possible? All of a sudden, this isn't just a dream.
And if you think that's crazy, listen to this. This is the final piece of the puzzle. When Wilmot gets home, he's talking to his wife, and she tells him about this wild dream she had on that exact same night. She dreamed that she traveled across the ocean, found his ship, went to his cabin, and kissed him. There's another really similar story about two roommates, where one of them swears she saw a man with her friend, but the friend says, no, that was just my dream. So the author uses these stories to argue that what happens in our dreams isn't just in our heads, it has a solid existence. It can even be seen by other people. Wild.
Okay, so we've got dreams that tell the future and dreams that are actual journeys to other places. So where does this all lead? What's the final takeaway here? Where is all this coming from?
Well, the argument boils down to this. All this stuff, predicting the future, traveling outside your body, having other people see your dreams,
It's just way beyond our current understanding. Science can't explain it. We're like toddlers trying to understand quantum physics. We're only seeing the very, very tip of the iceberg.
So for the author, the answer isn't in a lab or a textbook. The only way to really get it, to make sense of these mysteries, is through faith. The claim is that you can only understand these things by believing in a greatest creator, a higher power that's behind it all.
And the author leaves us with this one last, pretty intense image, that without believing in a creator, we're basically like headless flies, just blindly bumping into things. So that's the thought we'll leave you with. What do you think your dreams are telling you? Are they just static from your brain? Or are they maybe a message from somewhere else entirely?